All right, so welcome back. The show still continues live on Hstv. This is the Monday edition of Healthy Morning with me, James Riafe Kwesi, and this is the Martyrs Arising segment. But before that, quick good morning going out to Prophet Samuel Nana Amwating. He's the General Overseer of Blessed Hand of God Ministries in Tema. Good morning going out to you, sir, wherever you are. From Hstv, we're all wishing you a well and a blessed week. Now, let's move on to the stories for today. We have a lot of stories trending on our news portals, and I think earlier on my intro I gave you a heads up of things we'll be doing today on the show. To remind you again, we're streaming live on Hstv, that's on YouTube, Hstv Live GH. Share the links amongst your friends and tell them to join in. Let's have a great morning. Now let's move on to our first paper for today, that is the Daily Searchlight. And the stories coming in, it says CRM to bring LPG closer to consumers. This coming in from the MPA boss. And down here it says police squad in human rights abuse drama. And on top it says Dentrahima has no war with Obri Boahing. You can find a story on page 8 of the Daily Searchlight. And coming down it says CRM to bring LPG closer to consumers. And down again it says FDA embarks on a survey on artificial ripening or mangoes in market. And lastly, on the front page of the Daily Searchlight, it says trouble brew in Togo as ECOWAS comes under the hammer. You can read our story too on page 2 of the Daily Searchlight. Away from that, let's move into the Custodian that says fearless, fair and reliable. And down here says Medina Market women mob Baumia. You can read our story on page 2 of the Custodian. And on top it says keep up your good works at House and Ministry Asante Hene to Opong Nkrumah. And down it says beware of same old Mahama, majority cautions voters. Now moving into ECG, says ECG board members oppose PURCS fine. So quickly, let's go see what is happening right there. So lawyers representing the board members of the Electricity Company of Ghana are contesting that hefty 5.8 million Ghana cedi fine imposed by the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission for failing to provide a consistent load managing schedule. The lawyers contend that the PURC overstepped its bounds by targeting the board members. They argue that the Commission's legal mandate allows it to impose fines on the company itself as a public utility, not on its board members. The lawyers argue that since board members are not directly involved in the day-to-day operations, they cannot be held personally responsible for the company's action. The PURC justifies the fine by citing the board's responsibility for providing strategic directions to ensure quality service. However, the lawyers counter that this does not equate to day-to-day management, which is the role designated as principal officer under the Public Utility Regulatory Commission Act. Only principal officers can be held personally liable under the Act. So the lawyers also raised concern about due process violations. They argued the board members were not given a chance to be heard before the fine was imposed, which they claim breaches the principle of the natural justice. So this is what is coming from the EC board to the PURC in line with the fine that was imposed on them. And lastly, on the front page of the Custodian, it says CRM will bring LPG closer to consumers. That is coming in from the MPA boss. Away from that paper, let's move on to the inside. And on top it says Mahama floors Baumia again in new opinion poll ahead of December 2024. And down it says Israel spoiling for conflict with Iran as it launches a missile attack despite a stark warning. And on top it says Randy Abe blast Dankwa Institute over voodoo public debt analysis. And down here says GDL president grabs 2 doctorate degrees. And lastly, on the front page of the inside, it says FDA warns public against food ripening chemicals. Now let's move away from that paper and move straight into the new crusading guide. And on top it says 5.8 million Ghana cedi fine, legitimate and arbitrarily as ECG board to PULC. I think earlier I explained further the conflict that came in there between the PULC and ECG. And on top it says Adwedri Zongo chiefs call on Ochihene to reaffirm allegiance to Ochiman. You can read our story on page 10 of the New Crusading Guide. And on the other side it says Frema Opare calls for gender equality in business innovation. Now coming into the Greater Accra region, it says a Teshi resident enraged over Lekmer's delay tactics. And lastly, on the front page of the New Crusading Guide, it says Nenetete Luno Okumo sets record straight over bribery allegation. And lastly, it says Baumia offers a better future for Ghana. This is coming in from Afinyo Markin. Now let's move away from that paper and move into the Daily Guide. And the banner headline states, it says leave Baumia alone. Vice Veep Chasers told. It says leave Baumia alone. Veep Chasers told. You can read that story on page 3 of the Daily Guide. And on top it says 3 killed in gas explosion. And again it says ECG board fight PULC over 5.8 million Ghana cedi fine. And down here again it says TUC descends on Prof a day. And lastly, on the front page of the Daily Guide, it says MPP Youth Wing shakes Ashanti. You can read that story too on page 6 of the Daily Guide. Away from that, let's move into the Daily Dispatch. And right here it says, vote for Baumia, reject Mahama as he has nothing new to offer. I'm taking that again. It says, vote for Baumia, reject Mahama as he has nothing to offer. This coming from Afinyo Marking. And down here it says, I place a higher value on our youth than our oil and gas and gold. This is coming from Sam Ankra. He says, I place a higher value on our youth than our oil, gas and gold. Coming from Sam Ankra. And lastly, on the front page of the Daily Dispatch, it says MPA urges LPG users to patronize cylinder recirculation model. You can read that story on page 11 of the Daily Dispatch. Now moving away from that, let's move into the Chronicle. And coming in says MPP running mate saga. It says stop pressuring Baumia. So earlier we heard it from one of the science heads in the University of Ghana saying that when Baumia delays in letting Ghanaians know, all the political parties knowing about their running mate, is really going to affect the campaign and also election come 2024. And again, coming in from some party members, they are saying stop pressuring Baumia. So it looks like there's a division in right there. Some people are saying they shouldn't pressure him, and others are saying that he's delaying in unveiling who's going to be his running mate come election 2024. And on the other side, it says ECG board members react to PULC. They are saying you can't impose fines on us. And down here it says MPP wing shakes Ashanti region. So these are the stories we have on the front page of the Chronicle. And away from that, it says Baumia stands published for Dumso, not ECG board. Sorry, Baumia stands punished for Dumso, not ECG board. So we all know the challenges we are facing currently when we talk about Dumso right here in Ghana. We've had some private owners and also public workers complaining because with Dumso, their works are not being made effective. And as I stated earlier, we'll be activating the phone lines for you to call in if you are having or experiencing this Dumso in your area. Let us know what you think about it and what government should be doing about the situation we are facing currently here in Ghana. Away from that, it says majority leader tells Ghanaians, it says reject Mahama's terrible record. And again, as of yesterday in the afternoon, we all heard about the sad news of Ghanaian gospel musician Koda. The news was broke out by one musician as well as a Neo Kind coming out telling Ghanaians how Koda passed on. He died at the age of 45. that resulted to a kidney disease he was battling, and we're told that he was getting better, but unfortunately on Sunday afternoon we all heard the sad news that came in talking about his death. So we're saying condolences going out to the family, the Ghana music industry, and also most importantly the gospel music in the gospel industry as well. Everybody who supported him so far. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. So they are saying gospel singer Koda dies at age 45. And down here it says CRM to bring LPG closer to consumers, coming from the NPA boss. Now let's move away from the publisher and move straight into the Ghanaian Times. And right here it says, at inauguration of Ghana Cote d'Ivoire Cocoa Initiative Secretariat, it says, let's deal with the challenges in global cocoa price hikes. President to cocoa producing countries. You can read the story on page 8 of the Ghanaian Times. Away from that, it says, Western North most expensive food region. Western North most expensive food region, coming from GSS. You can read the story on page 9 of the Ghanaian Times. And lastly, it says, danger looms at Oyibi Sasebi. Now let's move away from the Ghanaian Times and move into the Daily Graphic. So it says, flood prevention in Accra. $675 million needed for a Dow project. And down here it says, engage young minds on SDGs through writing. This is from the Vice President of Ghana. You can read the story on page 32 and 65 of the Daily Graphic. And down here it says, Ioko to host 14th Commonwealth Africa Anti-Corruption Conference. That story too can be read on page 13 of the Daily Graphic. So these are the stories we have trending today on the front pages of our newspapers. So still talking about the power crisis, we have Afenyo Marking coming in saying something onto the news. It says, this is a rare challenge, but government will fix it, coming from the majority leader. So in the course of time, we're going to show these videos where we had Afenyo Marking coming in saying that the government is going to fix this issue. So there's and many other stories. And also we have our former president, John Dramani Mahama, also coming in with some campaign promises where we still have the MPP battling and saying that he has nothing to offer the government, or what he's saying, mere say. But hey, the vote is in your hands. Come 2024, we'll all move into the poll to vote for the president or the person who we want leading the country. So this will wrap it all up on the Matters Arising segment. We have Precious Azuma standing by with happenings in the world of sports.
I was like, forget the future, the life was then, but now I'm in the future.